All right, it is 9 o'clock on June 4th. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Glad to see a decent crowd here this morning for a variety of different items to discuss. We'll begin with dispensing of the May 28th minutes. Is there any modifications or corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dahlheide and a second by Commissioner Hewsome. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Today's agenda, is there anything that would like to be added to today's agenda? I do know under items for consideration, I'm going to add a committee of the whole to be scheduled for a legislative update from Flaherty and Hood. So we'll make that item F.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to add to an agenda item. We were scheduled to issue bonds today. I just want to give you an update on the postponement of the 2019 A and 2019 B bonds.
So we'll make that timed item right before
Six.
A, or where are you on here? So you'll put, this is timed item as, 6, timed item 6.
D6.
D6.
Mr. Chair, with those corrections, or those additions, I will move approval of today's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hewsome, a second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Today's agenda is approved. Consent agenda. Would anybody like to remove anything from today's consent agenda for further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Potter, a second by Commissioner Burrell for the approval of today's consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Time item number 1A, 902, Adam Osting, Extension Educator.
All right, I'm Adam Osting, a new extension educator for Wright County. And just have a short blurb here to recognize our Farm Family of the Year, the Swensons. So the Farm Family Recognition Program has existed for over 30 years and honors farm families from throughout Minnesota for their contributions to the agriculture industry and their local communities. The Wright County Extension Committee selects the farm family each year, and this year recognizes the Swenson family of Swenson Gardens near Howard Lake. Swenson Gardens has become the world's largest chemical-free peony producer since its birth in 2002. The farm is approximately 40 acres. They nurture thousands of peony plants in hundreds of varieties. They sell new seedlings, intersectionals, garden peonies, and bare root peonies. They use innovative ground covers to reduce weeding, and they also participate in many different community events and gardening workshops. Keith and Becky, along with their children Britta and Luke, have created a thriving operation in the heart of Wright County. So here's the award, the 2019 Farm Family of the Year. I'm going to award that to the Swenson Gardens family.
Looks like you shy one person.
She started an internship today.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chair. Oh, I just wanted to say.
Absolutely.
Sure, I'd like to
Mr.
shake
Chair,
their
I
hand.
just wanted to say,
Yes, I
go
like it.
District 5, that's 2 years in a row.
You do have an unfair advantage because I think you have about 5 farms to 1 on all of us.
Be that District 5 has the most farms.
Congratulations.
This is what an urban commissioner looks like. That's the changing face of it. You made it.
Yes.
He did it here, yeah.
Okay. Don't kick Charlie out, though. 2 years in a row now.
All right. Thank you and congratulations.
I get
And thank you for the wonderful work you do in our county.
They kind of redo it.
Mr. Chair?
They make it smell sweeter.
Mr. Chair?
Before they leave.
Just- Yep,
All
oh,
right, before you leave,
1 second.
yeah,
Oh, hang on a second.
I had no idea that you had this operation until I was reading through the information, or that there was that many varieties of peonies. Mine haven't bloomed yet, so thank you very much for all your hard work, yeah.
SwensonGardens.com, you'll see the
Okay,
story. And
yep.
we talk about Minnesota farming and
Appreciate that.
So you'll be in the next book, The Peony Farmers of Winnebago County.
Well, the beauty of this is 60 years ago, my dad in Douglas County, Wisconsin,
Okay.
was the dairy farmer of the year. So 60 years later,
Oh,
it's
wow.
like, thank you.
Well, Luke,
Thank you.
guess what you got to strive for? Hopefully you don't wait 60 years, though.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for
Second.
payment of Swenson Families, Wright County 2019 Family Farm
I'll
of the Year.
second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dahlheiden, a second by Commissioner Burrell. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Commissioner Dahlheiden?
Aye.
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 Aye. Congratulations. Thank you.
Do you want a signed copy?
yes.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know what's on the back, but hopefully nothing.
Doesn't. Trickle.
Boat water safety.
It's a
Water
boat.
safety grant. Oh, they'll get you a cleaner
Hopefully.
copy.
Yeah.
They'll get you an official clean copy.
Well, no, that's fine.
I guess you are going to be Captain Hoffman today.
Good morning, Commissioners.
It's amazing how you guys can just like morph into different members in the department like that.
It's a
Yeah.
uniform, we all look the same. I apologize, Captain Hoffman wasn't able to be here, so he did ask me to come. This is our annual grants that we normally sign. The DNR was a little bit late on getting both of these out. Normally, we're looking at these in April or May. They just had a little bit of time issues with getting them out. We have two grants, and historically, we've had both of these each year. Our first one is the DNR Boat and Water Safety Grant for $21,352. That's up about $3,000 from last year, what we received for the grant. What we normally use that for is to supplement our full-time recreational service deputies' wages. The second one is our federal supplemental boating grant, same amount as last year, $9,500. What we use that for is additional boat and water safety grants where our deputies are out there working the lakes, doing additional enforcements, education, working events, anything to do with boat and water. So we roughly add about additional 300 hours of service just with that grant alone.
Very nice.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2019 Minnesota DNR Boat and Water Safety Grant in the amount of $21,352.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dahlheiden, a second by Commissioner Potter for the grant approval of $21,352. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Federal Supplemental Boating Safety Patrol Grant in the amount of $9,500.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burrell, a second by Commissioner Hewson for the Federal Supplemental Boat Safety Grant of the amount of $9,500. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Grants are approved.
Thank you. Do we want to do a picture for this?
You want to do a picture?
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, do you want a standing ovation too?
Sergeant, it takes a long time till I'll see you again, Brian.
Probably will.
All right. Mr. Virgil Hawkins, he is pavement day in Wright County, so he's wearing black.
Finally, some good weather for paving. Good morning, Chairman Vetch and Board of Commissioners. Today, I have one item for you to consider, and it is to set a Transportation Committee meeting of the whole. There's some items identified that we should meet and talk over, and if there's any others that you'd like to add to this proposed agenda, and then just like to see if we could arrive at a date and a time.
Do we have any committee meetings scheduled for the 12th yet?
On the 12th, I have Emergency Services Board in St. Cloud,
What time?
1 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm pretty much booked all day on the 12th, also between committee and 2 other meetings, but
Okay. Well, how about the 17th? We have Board of Adjustment in the afternoon.
Yeah, 4.
I'm in DC all that week.
What about the 18th? Why don't we just set it there?
Well, Potter's gone all that week.
Who's gone?
you're gone all that week.
I'm gone all, I'm in DC the whole week.
How about the
24th?
24th in the afternoon? We've got a meeting in the morning, but
The 26th would be better for me.
26th?
Yeah. Can we do that?
We have committee in the morning, but we could perhaps do 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock would
That
work.
work?
1 o'clock? Make a motion to set a Transportation Committee of the whole meeting for June 26th at 1 o'clock.
I'll second that.
All right, June, perfect, looks
Thank you.
good.
Just push that one next, just back up and hit it hard.
You gotta push really hard.
Virgil, are you
Obviously, you
gonna,
need to do more
at this Transportation Committee of the Whole, are you gonna talk about shops and stuff, where the update on where your guys' plan is for the
Outline shop.
Outline
outline
shops?
shops?
We're just
because
leaving
we,
We're just leaving that
7
on the
listed
thing, we're
already.
not doing it.
We can add that to the agenda.
I just was curious what your guys' plans were, because when we talked about it last year, and it was kind of put in a holding pattern, I just wanted to know where you guys are.
Yeah, nothing's changed with the plans. We have that amount we get each year for the CIP to start
So
doing
you
it.
guys have an idea, I guess you guys can just let us know at that meeting, just when you guys are kind of envisioning to kind of move.
Maybe it could be good to have that as an update
Okay,
in that agenda also, just
I'll add that as an update.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Did we vote on that?
I think we still need to vote that, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
I have a motion and a
I
second.
didn't have
but I
a
don't-
motion or a second. Who's that motion to set
I
the,
motioned it.
oh, you did?
Yeah, it was motioned already.
Second by Commissioner, that's right.
We just
We have a
didn't vote it.
motion by Commissioner Potter, a second by Commissioner Houston to set June 26th at 1 o'clock for a Transportation Committee of the Whole. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now we're good.
Thank you.
Auditor Treasurer Bob Hevola, we're going
Morning,
to
Board.
approve the findings and orders of the petition from the City of Monticello for partial rescission of a prior transfer order of County Ditch 33.
You know, I have Matt Detchen here. He did a lot of research on this, so the city has appealed to us to take this ditch back. I'll let Matt go over the particulars with you.
Well, I can say that, you know, if you have enough meetings and you have enough conversations, good things can happen. This is a prime example of it.
What, getting a ditch back?
Well,
I beg to differ.
it's good for the fact that, for the residents in the area, because if it wasn't transferred back, we were not able to help fix some very, very necessary repairs that needed to happen. People were being, in some cases, severely impacted, so.
And I can give just a brief overview of everything that happened. So in 2005, Carlisle Village, the developers petitioned to outlet stormwater into County Ditch 33 and agreed to pay $167,000 for that. Around that same time, there was a different developer. This petition went through a year later in 2006. With that development, the city agreed to help make a new stormwater outlet to the Mississippi River because the current one was undersized. That development fell through, but before that happened, we transferred portions of the ditch, mainly the outlet of the ditch, to the city, with the idea being that the new outlet would be made. This portion's actually in the township, though, so the city doesn't really have any jurisdiction to spend dollars to fix it. So the conclusion we came to is that we would get that $167,000 from the original developer and transfer the outlet back to Wright County's control so we could fix it and address the issues on County Ditch 33. So this is essentially what rescission is. They already transferred the $167,000, so we will now take back the outlet portion of the ditch.
And then I just have a question, and I know we did talk about this, is once we get this all fixed up, sized properly, is it something that at that point it would go back to the city?
Only if that area was annexed into the city.
Oh, that's right, you have that township part.
Because the city took ownership of portions of a ditch that was within the township.
I remember.
So, and then the area never ended up being developed and never ended up being annexed in.
Right.
So,
Mr. Chair, they anticipated being in an orderly annexation area, being annexed
Right.
in. It never happened because 2006, around that time, all kinds of chaos was going on.
So if it were to be annexed, then at that point, we could do something.
and the city is being a very good partner on this project. They're wanting to make sure that we do the construction so that it is designed right going forward to hopefully meet the water capacity needs in the future, not just the present water capacity needs, so.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the findings in order of accepting a petition from the city for the partial rescission and prior transfer order of County Ditch 33.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Potter, a second by Commissioner Dowling to take the partial rescission of a prior transfer order of County Ditch 33. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Commissioner Potter?
Aye.
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 Aye. Commissioner Dowling?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, didn't okay. Resolution passes, and
Ken?
ditch is transferred back to the county.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for your work on all of this project.
So for the record, Board, we tried to get rid of one, we couldn't, it's back with us, so.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, for the record, this happened in an era that things were just going crazy. The carts were put before the horse. Actions were made that were not ready to be made, that happened, and now we're correcting.
Yep.
That should not have ever transferred until it actually was annexed into the city, whether the development goes or not. The fact that it never was annexed in kind of puts it in a conundrum, and that's why we're here today dealing with it.
Item number 2, purchase of 61 DS200 ballot counter.
So Board, the next 3 items are all going to be related to election equipment. In your packet, you should have this summary of the CIP funding. So I want to let you know the next actions are all already in the CIP. So the first item is to approve the purchase of 61 DS200 ballot counters. These are the ones that actually count the ballots. 61 is the number that we need to provide replacement of all of the M100s that we have out there. And we have a mechanism where we quantified how many counters you get per registered voters. So we have a mechanism. I'm saying that because if we do experience some subdivisions, we're going to use that same parameter in funding election equipment for those new precincts.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question as far as this equipment.
Yep.
And I brought this up one at a time, and now I'm seeing it on the news where these things should not be tied into the internet when they're out at remote sites. Are they going to be tied into their internet? Because I don't think I can support it otherwise.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell, these would be capable of it, but we are not looking to add that feature in there.
Okay.
Should we move forward with it, the connection is not my Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi, it's a secure government Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
But right
but
now,
still,
we're not looking to.
I mean, they've been hacked into the Pentagon, they've hacked into the, whatever else it is. It's just, I don't see the need for that to,
Right.
I mean, it's good to have all the electronics there to help count the votes and stuff, get them over, but if you allow access in, then you can actually start counting votes and stuff.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell, right to that point is, the requirements on election night is you have to bring us the materials, the cast ballots anyways. We feel that since you're going to come in and bring us those cast ballots, we want you to bring in all the cards that come with
All
it.
right, so I won't have to worry.
You want
Mr. Chair? Thank you,
Commissioner
Mr. Chair.
Potter?
For Commissioner Burrell's sake, Minnesota is one of a few states left that require a paper ballot still. A lot of states don't do it, but we're one that still requires a paper ballot. And that's where you don't have the hacking, because if it's all electronic, no paper, you have nothing to back up to find out if you had a problem.
I just don't want the Portuguese running our country or anything.
And we do audit it, because I got to take place firsthand in that audit of the municipalities, and 100% matches, so.
I don't want to see that R word, but if we have an R word again, I invite you all to participate in it, so.
Yeah, it's,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion then to buy the DS 200 ballot counters for,
I will second that.
All right?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
The first item, refurbished Model 100. So if you're buying new stuff, why are we buying something refurbished?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Belyden, are you talking about,
Refurbished Model 100 includes scanner, internal battery, backup, steel, ballot box with diverter, paper roll.
First page, first item.
oh,
Yeah, it's on this page right here, very top.
With the quote.
oh, I think I'm going to cover that when I get to the,
That was the DS 450 that we were buying a refurbished unit because the ES&S offered us a very, very good deal on this slightly used, I guess I'm going to use it slightly because it's not very old, DS 450.
Mr. Chair, when I get to that item, I'm ready to address the savings we have from taking gently used one, so.
And then you've got wireless modem listed on here and a landline modem.
Yep,
Are we getting those then?
You still have to use them for the updates.
yeah, but you wouldn't
or
do
we
that.
have the capability of it. I don't believe that we intended to turn on this is the tabulator, this is the one that will actually count the ballots. So I believe, and I'll verify this with Carissa, that we have the ability to add these modems in later.
So we're not going to get them now then?
I don't believe we're ordering them with the modems in it, but should we be able to move forward with it, these machines have the ability to insert a modem into them.
Yeah, see, I don't think we should,
And that action will come back before you.
right. Okay. Now I'm scared again. I made the motion to approve it.
Well, you can just make the motion to buy the DS200s without the modems.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did somebody second my motion yet?
I
Mr.
did.
Chair, members of the board, if I could, I think what we're getting confused here with, when you see modem on there, I think that's for the software upgrade.
Yeah, but we should
So
only
the-
need,
That's the reporting upgrade because we need a secure connection on election night after the polls close to get over to the Secretary of State. So we need a completely separate computer, completely
should just be
separate-
one modem.
That's all it is. It's just one modem for that separate computer to then link up.
Okay, it's
with the
not,
Secretary of State's office.
it's not,
No.
Because that computer has to be a separate computer, not used for anything
Yes.
but elections, and it's locked down.
Cannot ever be touched to
outside
the
of that.
internet, can't do anything. It gets turned on literally twice a year.
not 61
No,
modems. then.
no, it gets turned on, that computer gets turned on twice a year, every other year. Only on election night.
So Commissioners, with appreciation, number 5 is the one I'm going to cover that.
okay.
So we have a motion, and we have a second, I believe?
Yes, you do.
Yes, okay. Any other further discussion on the 61 poll pad, or, yeah, the
Tabulators.
tabulators? You know, don't want to get this any more messy than it already is. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? All right.
Commissioners, number 3 is to approve the purchase of 2 DS200s from the city of Delano. Now, Delano was our first municipality who went forward and acquired the DS200s, but now we're providing that equipment out to each of the precincts. So I recommended that we actually buy the equipment from them at the same cost that we could buy new ones. So before you is the acquisition of $10,750. Wright County will own all the tabulators deployed on election day, so be under our umbrella. So I'm asking you to approve the purchase of 2 DS200s from the city of Delano.
Slightly used.
Clean One owners. Graham only used it.
I'll
in
make that
November.
motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner
Second.
Burrell, a second by Commissioner Potter. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right.
Now,
Motion
number
passes.
4, Board, we looked at basically a central count DS200. The way absentee voting is going, I don't believe the genie's going to go back in the bottle.
No.
It's a very popular way to vote. So a DS200 central count machine, the 450, would be something we felt that would expedite our process to handle the in-person voting at the courthouse. And also, this machine would serve as an emergency backup. Should a precinct fail, they could still cast ballots at the precinct, but they could bring them in and we could run them through this faster machine. So ES&S has a used one that Carver County had, used for one election. Carver County is vacillating between the 850 or the 450. I asked the vendor if two 450s would be like a 900. He said no. But so anyways, we have a chance to buy their 450 at a significant reduction in price, $9,985. So this is a piece of equipment I think is appropriate for us to add into our arsenal of technology for handling the elections.
So this motion here, though, is for a new
No,
one.
it's not, no, it's for, no, the price is $43,385, not $9,000 for the DS 450.
Right.
If you got them drop it down to $9,000, let's do it right now, because I tell you
We'll buy
about,
5 of them, right.
yeah, sorry.
So what was
make
the
money on
9,000
them
then?
$9,000, Commissioner Burrell, $9,985 is the discount because it's used in.
Oh, I see.
Discount, yeah.
Okay.
It's a $50,000 piece of
I
equipment.
don't know if any of you got the opportunity, this is probably about 3 months ago, we had an 850 and a 450 set up in room 120. It's pretty remarkable, the speed at which it is able to process ballots, and I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to see what it's like.
This is like a scanner type thing?
It's
It
a,
just sends them
yep,
through?
basically,
It's a ballot counter.
ballot counter. Currently, we have to, when absentee ballots come in, we have to individually feed each ballot in. And it takes, it's hours and hours for days and days. The new system will allow us to just take a stack of these ballots, set them in the machine, and it'll just zip them right through in a minute.
Nice.
So it's,
Like a money counter at a bank.
yep, and a money counter at a bank. So instead of us hand rolling our coins, we will have a machine do it for us.
Okay, I'm a little confused because we've got a refurbished model 650, including scanner, steel table, cart reports, and then a new model DS 850, and then a new model DS 450. And that's number items 7, 8, and 9 on page 1 of 5. So
These are
I'm
the
trying
ones
to
you're actually,
figure
these are the
out.
ones you're actually purchasing. These are the ones.
So all of this stuff that's listed on here, you're not purchasing?
No, just the ones that are moved over to the actual next column over. That's just their kind of marketing, I don't know what either menu,
Price list?
price list, that's what, yeah.
Right. So to be clear, Board, we are buying a DS 450. My first agenda item was to buy the DS 200s. These are the individual tabulators. A 450 is a central count. It does like 78 pages per minute.
I'm okay with this, Bob. The only question I have is if, let's say, Buffalo Township's DS 200 quit working, you said we could send this out as a backup. Would they need to be specially trained, or is it pretty
They bring it to
similar?
us.
Chair, Commissioner Burrell, we have backup DS 200s that we would deploy in the field.
Oh, okay.
But should they, at the end of the night, they just can't balance, they're off, and they just can't figure it out, normally we'd say, hey, you have to run all the ballots through again. Well, running them through a 200 versus a 450 is hours.
I see, okay.
So we would ask them to bring in the cast ballots in a sealed box to the courthouse,
Run
open
them
them up,
through them.
and run them through the 450.
Okay.
All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase.
I'll second that.
we have a motion by Commissioner Dahlhead and a second by Commissioner Husum. And I'm guessing these are all within the election funds, but we're all still within the budget, so I just want to make sure everybody knows that we're within the budget for election
Within the-
funds for all this
yeah.
equipment.
Right, in your packet, you
CIP.
should have the summary of our CIP funding. We still have funds left over, should a precinct, again, further subdivide.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
So now we get to the
Passes.
software. So now that we've landed with, or standardizing the DS200, we're adding the 450. On election night, as the precincts bring in their cards and we read them into a card reader, this is the accumulation software. So we need to buy this new software. Now, this new software also enhances the DS200. So as the voter is inserting a ballot, there's kind of like a GUI, this is what's happening. It enhances the voter's experience. Using the DS200s, it enhances our election night reporting. So this $10,873 is for the software that we use for the administration of accumulating the election results and disseminating them to the Secretary of State. And this is where we are required to have an extra PC that's not touched by anybody else.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the electionware.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Potter,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Dowliden.
Yeah, the only thing I have, it's just kind of funny how you buy all the equipment and now you have to buy the software. I mean, what good is the equipment without the software?
I tell you, that's how businesses is now. Everybody trying to sell everything a la carte.
And then on this, Mr. Chair, if I may, so then on this here, if we know the numbers that we're transmitting down to the state, and then we can go on the state website and see that they jive too. So nobody could mess with that transaction
Chair,
anyway.
Commissioner Burrell, remember in the post-election review, we have our meetings that we kind of go over the results? So, right,
Canvassing
so
board.
precincts come in, they give us the cast ballots sealed in a box, but they also give us a summary information. And part of that summary information is the election result tape. So then we read their card into this accumulation software and we submit it to the Secretary of State. Then my staff will go through and validate the results that actually made it to the Secretary of State and are coming back to us with those tapes to make sure. And then, of course, we still have the paper ballot to go through
Just a
if
question.
needed.
I think we have a very safe election system. Having gone through the checks and balances of it, I think we have an extraordinarily safe, at least from Minnesota standpoint. I can't
Right.
speak for other states.
Other countries are different, other states are different. No,
All right. So any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Mr.
We have-
Chair, I petitioned an item on before the board. If you recall, today was the day that we were going to award the sale of the 2019 A and 2019 B bonds. A petition was filed in my office, and we're still validating that petition. So I actually called the financial advisors, and we postponed the sale of those bonds. We still have to get through the validation of the petition, and I have no update for you other than we're continuing to work on it.
Thank you.
Okay, that was just FYI.
Thank you.
Bob, but can you explain that process? I mean, it's kind of new to, I think, everybody here, but what happens? I mean, so let's say there are the petitions, the correct number, what happens?
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell, it's a legal document. A petition was filed in my office objecting to the moving forward with the bonding.
Okay, so as long as we don't move forward, we're not violating anything?
Right. So, to that, a sufficient number of signatures had to be obtained. And now we're going through the petition, the 700 pages plus, and validating those signatures are on there, that we don't have people outside of the county, we don't have people signing multiple times. So we're going through that process of validating those signatures on that petition. And that, I apologize, it just takes time to get through that.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you. Sean Riley, I think we're just right on time. Review of a petition for an EAW for Valley Paving Asphalt Plant, Silver Creek Township.
Yes, Mr. Chair, County Board. The Wright County Planning Commission has a petition for a CUP for a temporary hot mix plant in an existing gravel pit in Silver Creek Township. That item was on the May 16th, 2019 Planning Commission agenda. Before we got to that meeting, we received a citizen's petition for an EAW regarding that land use. So we were not able to make a decision at that meeting. We've got the staff report and the minutes attached to what took place at that meeting. We continued it until the June 27th Planning Commission meeting. Our intent is to schedule a site inspection at the June 6th meeting this week for the Planning Commission to go see that site before the June 27th meeting. The Pollution Control Agency validated as a complete petition and named us as the RGU, the Responsible Government Unit. So we have legal requirements to follow and need to base our decision one way or the other on legal requirements. And we have 30 working days to make that decision. The petition was also attached as a PDF link and put on our website. So that's what's in front of you today.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I might, because I was involved in this. And then, I think, the way I see it, we're gonna end up with a request for one of these every time we ever have another asphalt plant in the county, unless, I don't know, I'm just guessing that it's gonna happen every time. This plant is on an existing, where it's proposed, is on an existing gravel pit already. It's well screened, it's gonna be the latest equipment, everything about it, and I just don't see putting this extra burden on a company every time that they go to put one of these up. I mean, we need it for our roads. This is gonna be used, I think, is this some of the 94 project? You know, so, and then everything else, a lot of the complaints or whatever, a lot of the people that testified at the meeting were in the Lock Lake area, okay, on the south side of 94. Well, if you're on the south side, these things get done, most of these projects are done during the summertime. It's prevailing southerly winds. So, I mean, it's going to be a rare time when they ever do even get the odor from it anyway. I just think it's in a good location as far as that. There was one residence that's to the north and east. I mean, that person never came in and testified. I would sympathize more with that person than I would anybody south of 94. So.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, Commissioner Houston?
Is this, my understanding is this is kind of a temporary thing, or it's not a temporary
So,
plan?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hewsome, the request is for a temporary hot mix plant.
Yep.
I think some of the project has to do with I-94, but it hasn't been laid out exactly 100% or partial percent, and nothing prevents a person, of course, from coming back and applying for another temporary CUP.
Historically in the county, if you look at it, most of these hot mix plants is once they've got it 1 year, they basically are there indefinitely.
You know, we have these operating, you know, Albertville, you know, Omen.
St. Michael and Omen, yeah.
It's right, you know, in amongst the people and whatever, and now they do put out a little bit of an odor, but the newer plants are better yet, and do we have somebody from the company here, or to maybe give us a little spiel?
Commissioner Burrell, I will say that the one in Albertville, or the one in St. Micah, the Omen one, that plant was there long before any of the housing that was around it. That was there, the only thing that was there with it at the time was J&B Meats. Otherwise, the rest of that stuff around there was just agricultural fields at the time. There was no residential.
But I'm saying
living at
that the city is built up around it, and it's not an issue.
But the people built their houses on the property
No.
knowing that the asphalt plant was there.
I wouldn't say it's not an issue. There are complaints.
Yeah.
But they bought the house knowing that there was an asphalt plant there. This is a different case where these people bought this lake property on this lake, and now, by the way, oh, you're gonna get an asphalt plant across from you. That's a different situation. I mean, I think it's only the due diligence that you offer these people.
You're never, so this is gonna be just like a landfill then. We're never gonna have another landfill, we're never gonna have another asphalt plant. We might as well add, dairy farms to it too, you know? It just, I don't know. At some point, we need to move on with.
You could do
with
it in the
things
right
that
of
we
way.
do.
If it wasn't able to be conducively done in that area, they do them in the right of way. Then it can't be there permanently. Then have it in the right of way for these road projects. Do it there so then it can only be there for the period of time of the road. And I'm sure the landowners know that, if you had to have it in the right of way and it was only gonna be there for the 2 years that they're building it, they'd be like, all right, then it's gonna be there for the 2 years. But if you do it on a private property, it's gonna be there indefinitely. And that's their thing, is we're willing to take our concessions because it has to get done. We're fine with it for the 2-3 years, but we just don't want it there indefinitely.
Mr. Chair, County Board, keep in mind, this is not a decision about yes or no to the conditional use permit. This is not a decision on the land use or figuring out conditions or not. This is simply the decision on if EAW is going to be conducted or not.
And that's why, because the things that, the smell and the sounds and stuff are subjective. And I mean, you may say that the screening is well and the sound is not bad and the smell, can be a weatherman and say that all of the winds are going to come from the south, so it's not going to blow over Lock Lake. But I think, it's only fair to do our due diligence to make people, when you're putting something that's this impactful into these people, that we make this process have merit. I mean, if you don't do it now, when do we do EAWs?
These hot mix plants, we get all this, people come in, oh, they're gonna cause cancer and stuff. They are the safest, there's no harmful effects ever been proved from them. They said that it's nothing for a health risk at all.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And I don't know if you can answer this, but what's all involved and how long does it take for an EAW? And if we require that, are we killing the opportunity for this plant to be there?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Dlyden, I can't speak to are we killing the project or not, because I don't know the timeline of the project and what type of things are coming up this season. It takes a period of time for the obligation is put on the petitioner to conduct our EAW and submit it in a proper form, for us to review it, to go back and forth and make sure it's adequate, and then for it to come back to the county board.
So the petitioner has to do the EAW?
Yes, the obligation is, even though we're the responsible governmental unit, they are completing the document or reviewing it.
Who's the person behind him then?
So, Mr. Chair, County Board.
If we open to the public, we have to have both sides speak,
So can I speak to that real quickly? I reached out to the petitioner, the citizen that was listed as to the representative, the land use petitioner, the resident that was listed on the EAW citizens petition, and all the town board members. And I described to them at length what the intent of this meeting was. It wasn't necessarily a public hearing. That's for the county board to decide. So I don't know if that impacted the attendance or lack of attendance today. So I'll let the chair and the board decide what direction.
That's the thing, if we are going to open up to the public, then we will, then at that point, maybe need to schedule this as a separate meeting and let both sides
Mr. Chair,
come in and
I do
open up.
I just disagree with you on this. I do not see the need for this. I think it's just somebody trying to throw a monkey wrench in a project that it is gonna add extra expense and everything to it. So I'm gonna make a motion that a EAW not be required of this plant.
You have a motion by Commissioner Burrell.
Here comes the attorney.
Now you're going to get me up here to correct
Just
your
when you
motion.
thought I was safe.
What am I doing wrong?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Burrell, your motion would be to direct staff to draft a resolution declining the EAW pursuant to Minnesota Rule 4410.1100, subpart 6.
Isn't that what I said?
Yes. Commissioner's always right.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burrell. We have a second by Commissioner Potter. I am going to strongly urge my other fellow commissioners here to vote against this motion. If we don't do EAWs in this, we're basically saying we won't do EAWs on anything then. And you guys are setting yourself up for a dangerous precedence. I mean, I want 94 to get done just as much as everybody else, but there is other options, and there is a process that we have to go through it, because these people have been here way longer than this proposed asphalt plant, and they should be given, they've spent a great deal of time collecting names and getting information, and all they're asking, they're not killing the project, they just want to know that they're being found safe in the process. So I strongly urge you to vote against it.
And Mr. Chair, though, if you go and you read about asphalt plants and whatever, you will find that there is no harmful effects. They are scrutinized by the state like nobody's business as far as any kind of runoff, any kind of pollution that they're doing. They're monitored on a continual basis, and they are safe. That's all there is to it. So I said, don't fool yourself. This is only something to try to stop the project.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner
Thank you,
Pond.
Mr. Chair. In places like this, we get the people, NIMBY not in my backyard, but yet they're the same people that come up and say, we want those roads fixed. And then when the prices come in high, oh my God, why are you spending so much money on these roads? We want them fixed. They're going to have to be somewhere, and the farther they are away, the more expensive it is. And if you're going to have it in a place where it's be watched, monitored real well. I mean, there's some places where these don't belong, and there's sightings of that, but in this particular case where it's at, it's far enough away from a lot of different things, and the precautions that they have to take in, especially with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency here compared to other states, is way stricter. Between scrubbers and the stack and everything else that's got to go on, it's a lot better here than it is in a lot of other states.
The other thing that I want to point out, and I've noticed this just since being on the Planning and Zoning Board, the ones that are established, and I don't know if I can include Omen on this one, but different ones, they have upgraded. They have put on better systems to minimize odors and things like that. So the companies themselves, they're self-policing as well. They're not out there to be bad neighbors, from what I've seen anyways. I'm sure there's an exception somewhere, but I don't think this company, when they present it, is willing to have the best of the best. I think they're out of Shakopee right now. They have a large company down there. Is it Shakopee?
That sounds right, yes.
Okay. I don't know.
Without an EAW, you won't know what the best is. And there's a lot of other good locations that are close to 94 that are not nearly as populous as this area. I mean, if you look at this map here, I mean, there is a large number of dense population there, and there is a lot of other areas that you could go, that you could move it a mile in a lot of other directions that you would impact a far, far less number of individual residential housing. And I think we can do better as a county. This isn't about whether we deny it or not. This is about then if you are going to choose a location that is in a large inhabited area, then we are going to make you go through some processes. Because it's only fair to the citizens that we do our due diligence.
But what we're here today is, does this require an environmental?
That's what I'm saying, we're doing our due diligence, we're asking.
So this location requires it, you're saying?
I mean, if you were going to be around, if you were closer to a large number of homes, the potential impact is greater than if it was with a lot less
Mr.
homes.
Chair, no matter
But I would
where-
honestly say I would do it either way.
No matter where we put this, it's going to be around people. They're all, I mean, there's people everywhere in our county right now, so.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to call the question on this.
So you have to get a majority to agree to call the question?
Well, you'd have to ask for vote. It's 3/5, right?
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote, yeah. No. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Tried to call the question, so we'll vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose? Aye.
And I'm abstaining because I don't have enough information to
I'm
make a
abstaining
decision.
also because I've heard from a number of the citizens in the area, and, they are concerned, and I appreciate your stand on this too, Commissioner Burrell, but
I need
it
to
is a
review more information.
it is a real question, and especially, how long does this delay the project? That's another important thing.
Mr. Chair, with that, the motion would fail. Motion fails.
Motion fails. So now we're basically right back to square one with no motion. So now we need to decide, you have two options here. We can set a committee of the whole if you'd like to get further information. We can accept and require the EAW. Those are basically the only two options left at this point.
I make a motion that we table it till next week, Tuesday.
Do you want to actually set at the county board meeting, or are you guys going to want public comment?
At the county board meeting. I just want to do a little bit more research.
All right.
Chair, that gentleman.
If we open a public, we didn't open it up, we didn't set it up for that forum. So if you guys want to have public comment, we can set a committee of the whole and bring in public from both sides of the opinion. It's just a matter of whether you want to.
Mr. Chair, another option would be for the board meeting next week to just set time limits for each side. You could do 10 or 15 minutes for each side.
Set time limit for it.
All right,
Yeah.
so we'll basically give
Because that
the,
would- then that-
each side of the
hopefully
issue will
answers
get 10
questions.
minutes to state their case to it, and then we'll discuss it again on the June 11th board meeting. Is everyone?
Was that a motion to table it till next Tuesday, Mark? or-
Yes.
I'll second that.
All right, you have a motion by Commissioner Dahlheiden, a second by Commissioner Burrell to table this item for discussion on June 11th. We will be setting a time of 10 minutes for each side to state their cases. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we are down to the committee minutes. I'm going to ask Administrator Kelly if he'd like to carry the Personnel Committee of the whole minutes for me, would you mind?
Sure, just one second. Let me make it a little larger. All right, as mentioned, we had a Personnel Committee of the Whole on the 28th of May. All four commissioners were in attendance out of the 5. We also had some staff from the administration department, specifically HR, as well as from the Sheriff's Office in attendance. Our topic was hiring of positions above the 12% of the minimum grade range. Discussion kind of centered around the ability to get candidates, and our current process has been slowing us down in getting candidates hired within this competitive labor market. We've had a couple examples where we lost candidates due to our delay to go through our committee process in order to get this. So the discussion kind of centered around how to keep the board involved in reviewing these position requests. It was proposed to have quarterly reports submitted from administration to the board showing the hires above the minimum grade range and at what percentage it was hired at. Discussion moved to allowing the administration department to handle these requests above 12%. And then HR Department Director Sean Johnson distributed kind of a breakdown of the hires that took place in 2018, over 12%, what jobs they were, and the number, as well as those that have happened thus far in 2019. So, in summary, the recommendation was that HR will provide the county board with a quarterly report on all newly hired employees, indicating those hired at more than 12% above the minimum grade range and specifying the percentage. Reports will also include the name and the position and the department requesting the hire. County administrator will review and approve the request to hire above 12% of the minimum grade range and will provide an update to the county board on a quarterly basis.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Houston, a second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion?
Just a quick question. We had these job descriptions in there just to,
There was some questions about minimum qualifications.
yeah.
Correct.
And I didn't remember seeing those in the minutes, so I was just kind of curious.
I don't recall if they were distributed or not. HR came prepared to talk to
It was
the
brought up
variety.
that we might want to discuss minimum requirements, but it was quickly vetted out that the minimum requirements are most of them set by law because it requires a certain amount of education just to get the license itself.
Correct. And as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, there are certain positions where we do have to have licenses, so that is kind of dictated, some positions. So we just included it in the packet as it was brought down, so.
Okay, I just,
Yep.
I remember there was some discussion, but I just don't remember seeing it in the minutes. I'm just curious.
And just maybe one other thing to clarify, with the board, do we still need to put the position replacements as we have a resignation? Currently, we're just, if we get a resignation tomorrow, we're putting all those on the board. Is that a practice that we feel we need to continue?
To backfill them?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so, because in case you ever get to a situation where we, from a budgetary standpoint,
Well, if our problem is that we're losing people because it's taking so long to get something, we don't take as much of an opportunity to try and hire somebody.
yeah.
We're not going to be any farther ahead.
Okay.
Just wanted to follow up with that one, so.
All right, any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes, minutes and recommendation. Schedule a county board meeting for June 11th at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Potter,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dahlheiden. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. County board meeting is scheduled for June 11th. Schedule a county board workshop for today at 10:30.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Dahlheiden. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Schedule a committee of the whole closed session, county administrator performance review, June 25th or 26th. I can tell you 26th, I am in Glencoe in the morning, so if you choose the 26th, it'd have to be the afternoon.
And we have the Transportation Committee of the Whole.
Oh yeah, and we have the transportation committee of the whole in the afternoon, so the 26th is pretty much out.
25th?
25th at 11
Are you going to be gone that week?
Nope,
11
I'm
o'clock?
back. I'm back for that week.
I could do the 25th better.
At 11.
Do you want to do 10:30 or do you want to do 11? Because if it's 10:30, we can just go right from the board to that, or?
11.
11?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to schedule committee of the whole closed session for the county administrator's performance review for June 25th at 11 o'clock.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Potter, a second by Commissioner Dahlheiden for a committee of the whole administrator review, June 25th at 11 o'clock.
Now, is this, the review, is that similar to roasting?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Just
my
wanted to make sure.
anticipation, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Just so that I get everything I need in place before that.
All right. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, memorandum of understanding for lease of parking spaces in the West Government Center lot, city.
Mr. Chair, I'll speak to this one. I've had ongoing discussions with the city of Buffalo and the development company that's working on the site over here, the former school. They are going back to the Planning Commission of Buffalo next week, and they were kind of wondering where, if it's any possibility that they could rent some space from us. I had responded to them on the last, I think it was Thursday of last week, just kind of indicating the status of the petition coming in and not knowing what the board's future direction might be regarding this location. So I just brought it up to kind of get some input from the board, if it would be something they'd be interested in having staff continue discussions on drafting an MOU regarding leasing some spots, or if we should hold off at this time.
But don't we have a parking issue the way it is now?
Yes.
That's the reason I'd rather have them wait at least
Right.
30 days before we decide what we even discuss this.
But either way, they want it around June of 2020, even if,
Even if every which way we go, we can't do it then, yeah. if in
no, I mean,
2020.
it's just not feasible at this point.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is really putting the cart before the horse for us. And
I mean, we have a parking shortage now.
They-
I just can't see giving up that many spaces.
I would say no, and if they do park over there, we're going to have them towed.
We're gonna start putting tags in windows so we know which ones are county cars.
Right,
and-
we'll have
tags in the
signs out there,
windows.
county business only, or whatever.
And again, they're working on development of that site. As you know, they require so many parking spots, and they're trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I understand.
And if this is a viable option or not, so just wanted to bring it before the board. I kind of sensed the sentiment would be what it is, but.
Commissioner Potter?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was at the P&Z meeting with Commissioner Hewsome on this, and there was a ton of opposition by the local residents on this, what they were trying to cram too much stuff in one site. They need the thing, and that was the first time I heard about them asking for parking from us, and I'm just scratching my head as you know, first off, we have our own parking problem here,
Right.
you know, and building a parking ramp at $30,000 a space just isn't happening on my watch. There's no way in God's green earth that's happening. The other point of the problem is if you enter into a lease agreement for parking spaces, I think if, say, something was to happen with an admin building in the future or wherever, then you're kind of impeding what you may be able to get for this property. If somebody needs the whole space, but they're tied into a lease, that lease will be sitting there. And it'll either have to be bought out or whatever the case may be. I know that their funding for this project is tied in with, what the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, and it's site-specific. It can't move from site to site or town to town. It's got to be in one spot. And this is the site they applied for, so it can't transfer to another site in Buffalo or anything. It's got to stay right there. And they have some challenges to deal with that. I don't know if they're still putting the fire department across the street or not.
And I think that's the biggest challenge, because the fire department will have their building on that site. So there was real concerns for safety for children, fire trucks and that kind of thing. That was one of the things that was brought up at the meeting that we both were at. So they do have some challenges, but.
So the fire department's gonna be on the bottom, and then
Like
the
25, yeah.
then the apartment will be up on the hill.
Yep. So, and, and that's for the city of Buffalo to determine all that. But as far as from our end, we don't have 30 spaces to lease them.
We can't give what we don't have, so.
Right.
Well, the thing is, and I agree with Commissioner Hewson, that it's, although they have time-sensitive issues on this, it's tough for me to do that when you saw that many citizens that live in that area. And I know most of them because we both went to school here, and they had concerns about it, and what they proposed was just cramming way too much stuff in there. It just doesn't pass that first sense of the test that we should actually entertain this right now. And for one, I would just, just make the understanding with admin that we're not interested at this time to enter into any discussions on this. I don't know, do we need that in a motion, or is it just an understanding with the admin?
I can certainly carry the message forward.
And that'd be mine. I'm just one person. There's 4 other people here that can chime in what they think.
Yeah, and I gave my opinion.
I think at this point, we can't act on this. We don't have it to give, and it would, like you said, it's gonna handcuff us in the future, so
Well, they wanted, in the memo, they said they wanted to purchase some in the future, but it makes no difference here nor there. We don't have the space to do it.
Yep. So I don't think, do we need to make a motion if we're not gonna act on it? We're just gonna.
Yeah, I really don't have a specific item unless you wanted us to pursue it, I guess. I will circle back with the city and their developer, just to kind of give them an idea of where the board's at.
Just say there didn't seem to be a lot of interest on it.
All right. Sounds good.
Charlie's got 30 parking spots.
So item F that was added, schedule a committee of the whole for, basically Flaherty and Hood was looking at June 20th to come out and give us an update on the legislative session from their perspective and kind of some of the things that they worked on for us.
And you'll be gone, Mr. Potter, that week?
On the 18th. But it's fine.
It's an update, it's not an action item,
If
so.
it's 18th, it's fine, if you want to do that, because
Or
I'll
the
be
20th.
watching you from out there anyway.
We're on the 20th, on June 20th is what we're looking at.
Yeah, I'll still be out in
Mr.
DC,
Chair, I
but that's
could
fine.
do 9 in the morning,
We can do 9 in the morning.
but I have 11 o'clock.
Because this, I think we should be 1 hour or less.
An
We should
hour?
be up an hour. So if we do 9 o'clock, that works. Does that work for
Does that
you,
work for the
Commissioner
rest of
Burrell?
you?
And what date?
June 20th.
I will tell you in a second. June 20th is good.
Will
9
you get your
o'clock?
crops in by then, Charlie?
Yeah,
Maybe?
yeah.
So
Too late.
we'll set a committee of the whole on June 20th at 9 a.m.
I will make that motion, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Hewson,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Dahlheiden. Any other further discussion?
And that's right here.
That's right here, yep. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Lee, are you gonna email Shane and let him know that it'll be 9 a.m. on June 20th?
I will do that.
All right, thank you. Now we're down to advisory committee updates. Mr. Kelly, you want to kick it off?
Sure. As you know, next week, we're going to be coming before the board, so we're doing a lot of work regarding the ERP. Trying to think of a few other items going on here, but that's been a predominantly big one for this week, kind of in preparation for next week's meeting. I should mention, I don't know if I did at the last meeting, we've put together a group to revisit our BYOD plan and mobile device management. We haven't looked at that as a county in about 5+ years, so I think it would be good to review that, and we're getting a lot of stakeholders involved in looking at the best way to do that. So I'm trying to think other things. As you know, AMC District 5 is Monday if you are able to attend. So just a few updates there.
What do we got on Wednesday this week?
There's nothing this week. It's committee day, but I don't think we have any committees on there.
No, it's not.
It's not, no, committees week's next week, so we don't have anything this Wednesday.
Oh, I have, for some reason, I don't know why, but I had the regional meeting on tomorrow.
The which meeting?
Regional,
The AMC meeting, which
Oh.
is which is on Monday next
which
week.
is Monday, yeah.
Correct.
It's always on the Health and Human Services Day. That way we get to like, have to
Hurry back.
hurry back, yeah.
So I got a day off tomorrow. Oh, cool.
Commissioner Potter?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Last Friday, I attended the Minnesota Freight Advisory Committee. It was held in St. Cloud at the River's Edge Center. First time I've attended one of these. I've heard about it, and our chair of I-94 Coalition, Steve Bott, who's keeps us tuned in with what's going on there, and he was one of the panelists in the for the discussion on how do we support the region's economic competitiveness on there. As you know, a few years ago, actually it was 2016, that all of a sudden I-94 with the economic impact of freight corridor actually got national attention for how much comes through here. It's actually the busiest freight corridor that we've got sitting around here. And it created John Tompkins from Minnesota, from MnDOT, becoming the the Minnesota Freight Advisory, the superintendent of the whole, overseeing the whole state. He wasn't there for this meeting, but we had plenty enough other people from business owners. Most of them were business owners, and then St. Cloud Development thing, and then Andrew Drusky from District 3 Freight Plan Development, which is required by federal law, which is part of why we did the 7W SEDS and all these other things, because that's disaster, but you got to have all these things in to get there. And the whole thing, and Claudia Duman also gave an update on the I-94, the corridor project, and the 94 expansion. She's kind of done me a couple times back and forth on that bridge over 19 at 94. It was in, it was out, it's back in. So it's kind of like it's tough to get them when the message changes all the time, because they said it was out because the rating was too high and it wasn't due until a certain time, and then now it's back in because it's better to do it all and get the bridge with 19 done. It's fine. I know the bid came in a little higher than they expected, and I was anticipating them coming with their hand out looking for us and local municipalities, but they didn't, which is kind of nice. But the whole thing is, this is part of the freight going through the whole section of what comes through here. When the governor made this freight advisory committee, they were picking people, basically hand-picking people who was friends with the Dayton administration. The only thing was we got the seat at the table, Steve Bott. Now that's the correct person to have there at this meeting. And that's all I have to update people on, Mr. Chair.
Thank
Quick
you,
question.
Commissioner Potter.
Are they still, last time I was at a meeting with Claudia and those guys, it sounded like they're going to do some of the shoulder
This year.
This year, and that's really about all they're going to do.
The non-driving lanes, any utilities, shoulder work, and that kind of stuff to get ready for next year when the lanes actually.
So they'll be able to change
Right.
over and stuff.
It'll be all ready to go, because it's a time frame, it's a design build. PCI Hoffman's got it, and they've got actually both pieces, from Monticello to Clearwater and this, so it's kind of nice to have a local contractor and have the same person coordinating both sides. Economies of scale work out well, because if you're building shoulders here, building shoulders there, those machines, it's not that far up the road to get it done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. So that's all it is, non-driving lane impacts this year. And it should start probably next month.
Okay, I was just kind of curious. Okay. Last week, I didn't make it to the ERP meeting. And I don't recall you talking about ERP with the HR part of it. Did you? Did I miss it? Was I sleeping up here a little bit ago?
I didn't specifically talk about it this week, no. I think I mentioned it last week it was coming up, but didn't talk about it here
How
today.
did it go? I mean, it was ended up being just one day to discuss
Right,
it
we were able to get everything we had planned in 2 days condensed down to one. Our meetings the week before had been going much ahead of schedule, which was good. And I think that really speaks to the amount of time staff have put in and worked with Infotech, and Scott Weiland's been doing a great job managing that project, keeping us on task and really ferreting out the issues that we need to discuss. There's going to be a lot more to discuss as you go forward, but
Now, we're going to be meeting here next week after?
yeah, the 11th is the committee of the whole to discuss
ERP.
ERP.
Oracle going to be on site for that then? Are they presenting anything, or is it just staff?
We were planning it was just going to be staff.
Okay. I just didn't know if they were going to give kind of a real quick overview of like a high level of what what's their 10-minute pitch as to what their capabilities are for the county or not, to us or not. I didn't know if we were going to get that or not.
Follow up. We wouldn't, we were kind of planning it was just going to be the staff presentation piece of it.
Just because I'm looking from a high level standpoint to give back to the taxpayers so they get an understanding of what they're getting for their millions of dollars.
Sure. And we'll have a pretty good breakdown of the different modules and components of it.
And we'll have firmer prices too then.
Right. We're expecting those numbers to come in yet this week.
Okay. I know originally the discussion was that we were going to do the financial piece first and HR second. Is that still what we're looking at? Is it possible that maybe we should do the HR piece first and the financial second based on current employees?
The plan still is to do the financial first. That's really the core of an ERP system.
Yeah.
And it kind of drives into everything else. So it
Okay.
usually has
So
to be
it's still
one of
a
the front.
requirement then. In order to do the payroll, we have to.
It makes the most sense typically to lay it out that way. I know our group is meeting again this week to kind of discuss timelines of things. As we've laid it out right now, it would be a pretty aggressive timeline. If we were to start in late summer and get the financials up and going by April. If we are going to modify that timeline, we'll have to have some additional discussions because a lot of that was tied to specific calendar events such as a payroll quarter. So it's not as if you move it back 2 weeks. It might be a case where you'd move it back or more, or 3
And
months.
so when are we going to see this timeline? Because I guess I'm just curious when the timeline plays into when we were making payments for it. Just because
Sure.
there is some stacking to it that how it plays out, so.
Correct, and we've asked them to provide that when we put the quote together.
Put together,
to us.
so that'll be coming here sometime in the next 30 days.
Next couple days, we're
Couple days?
anticipating to
Okay.
see it because we wanted to have that information.
Is that
At
enough?
least
They're
a
going to ask for
range.
25% down or 50% down or what? Yeah.
Right, and we're currently in the process of negotiating the contracts, and there's language of things that our side didn't like, that we've pushed back, and we're waiting to get some resolution on that. So there's a lot of moving pieces that are still up in the air prior to next week's committee of the whole.
Good, well, hopefully we'll have all that information next week.
Hopefully they have, yeah, hopefully you can get them to give me a 5-minute demo video of what the highlights of it are.
Okay?
Just because I could use it for other pieces that, from a marketing standpoint as to why we're doing this, so.
Thank you. On Thursday last week, I was in Monticello for a Wright County Community Action Summit, the first they've ever had. Commissioner Vetch was also there. He was one of the panel speakers. And if I would have known that he was going to be there, I would have brought rotten fruit or vegetables or something. I mean, it would, because I could have gotten him and the sheriff both at the same time.
So you went and got Sarah, just me and Sean, huh? Just the elected officials?
Yeah. But I found it really interesting, and did you stay the whole time?
I stayed all the way till the last 15 minutes. I'd leave early, but yeah.
Okay. I found it really interesting that we talked about a lot of different things at tables, and housing, lack of housing, affordable housing, transportation, mental health, you name it. But it was really interesting that it almost sounded like that every table, a common problem was transportation. No transportation to get to housing, no transportation to get to work, no transportation to get to mental health. It was really interesting that seemed to be a common denominator for every one of them.
Why, people's cars don't start, or what's the matter?
People can't afford a car.
A lot of
Car
people
insurance
can't.
and
How
cars
do you
expensive.
afford a car? You
Huh?
get a job.
No,
So
no,
jobs are the
the-
problem then.
no. The problem is, and I know a guy right now that doesn't have a car, can't afford it, and he's working at Speedway, Super America. Right now, he's riding a bike, just a mile or so to
He's
get to work.
getting, what, 10, 12 bucks an hour, or what?
Yeah.
So,
So now, I mean, you haven't had insurance for a while because you haven't had a car. You've got lousy credit rating.
$150 a month, probably?
At least.
At least. If you have liability only, it'll be $100 a month.
No, well, it'll be more than that.
Just for liability.
For somebody that doesn't, that hadn't had insurance.
that's,
There's a lot of,
And then you gotta pay tabs on it, and you gotta make sure the car runs.
which, keep running.
Yeah.
Which, and that's the thing that you think, hell, I worked 3 jobs when I was younger. No, you do what you need to do, but
Yep.
I had a vehicle. To work 3 jobs, there's no way you can do it without a vehicle or some form of transportation. You take a cab, it cost $35.
Right, it's minimum $10. I mean, even if they're only going a couple of miles, so that's,
Expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway,
and then at some point, I mean, you must have messed your life up somewhere along the way.
well,
that
some
you're-
people have
that
medical
you're-
conditions they have no control over.
But you have
I
two
mean,
options. You can either help them rise out of that situation,
Yep.
or you can subsidize them for life. I mean,
And that's what we're trying to do.
Yep.
Wright County Community Action, and there was a number of other groups
Trying to help
there.
them out.
A
Yes.
hand up, not
Hand
hand
up.
out.
Hand up.
Salvation Army, I mean, there was a number of Love Inc., there was just a number of groups there, and it was, from everybody that I talked to, they all thought it was fantastic, and that we need to do it again.
If that's the way we're going, that's fine, but it just seems like so many of these programs that it's to keep you on the program, then I keep my job because I keep administering.
A lot of these were nonprofits and stuff, but no, the whole idea was to try and figure out a way to do hand up without duplication. Instead of,
Right,
everybody doing the same thing over and over.
Programs are far better off administered in the private sector because there's some accountability, and it's not, you don't have any mandate that you have to get this money, that it has to be paid. Where, so you go to the county and they're required to give you, if you have a kid, they're required to give you this money and this and that.
And that's where we're better off doing more of these
Right.
type summits and making the nonprofits, helping them be
Empower
robust, empower them. Then it
themselves.
keeps the legislator from needing to mandate it.
Right.
'Cause that's the last thing we want to do.
exactly.
So anyway, it was great. I think that was.
So you think it's gonna be, some things come out of it then, or?
I think, I mean, there's an attempt. I mean, Wright County Community Action is working with transportation issues for seniors, volunteer drivers, and that sort of stuff. So, each group is trying to do their own thing, and they're not doing duplications anymore, or trying to eliminate duplications. I mean, food shelves, you're going to have those, in all sorts of different areas. Food recovery, they're working, there's a number of different things that, they came out with some pretty good ideas.
We had some good discussion too from it as far as to what the utilization of time periods that the food shelf should really be working with Trailblazer in terms of in some of the other services, Wright County Community Action, that our usage between the hours of 10 and 2 on Trailblazer is low. So they're saying that, well, maybe we should be marketing our time so that they're using the buses during the time that they're sitting, because most of our bus traffic in Trailblazer is getting to and from work in the morning and back.
That must be when I watch them, because I see them, they're always empty. It must be between 10 and 2.
10 and 2, because they're all full in the morning and they're all full at the end of the day, and then. But that's even Metro Transit. You go in the cities, they're all same thing.
Yeah.
Well, Metro Transit has a little different format. It takes them years before they can eliminate a route. In fact, they just eliminated a couple routes here that should have been eliminated years ago, but they finally got around, hey, we have to do it. But their bureaucracy is just too huge.
So, anything else?
No.
I guess I had a quarterly, well, was with Mark at that WCCA, and I'll leave that. That was a great event. But the quarterly meeting with Xcel Energy, so they are again going into their administrative review process with their evaluation. Not necessarily is it the same as last year, but because every year the state, their value goes up. And Xcel is more arguing the increase from last year, not so much that they want to lower their base amount. They just want to stop the crazy increases in their values. So there's kind of an argument that it's a game by the Department of Revenue, that the Department of Revenue sets their value high, knowing that Xcel Energy is going to argue it down. So it's something for us to be cognizant of, but not to panic of.
But isn't that what they pay their attorneys for? I mean, you know, otherwise the attorneys wouldn't have a job, you know.
That's a good point.
They wouldn't have that.
You know.
But Brian's writing all this down, Mark. You better watch it.
So then they also, Xcel Energy did a flexible power demonstration. They're basically proving that nuclear energy within a 24-hour period can go from being 100% of the needs all the way down to 70, 75% of it. The goal is to be able to prove that Xcel Energy can be a good base load match with solar and wind, because we can dial it down very quickly when the production from wind and solar is high, and then dial it right back up when it's not there.
Which would take a lot longer with the coal plant.
Which would take much longer. So that was a huge thing. They're also wanting to be, Xcel's cognizant that the Trump tariffs on uranium could be a potential large impact on the nuclear plant. So that's something that they're being cognizant of.
Uranium we don't get here in the United States?
We do have it in the United States, but the cost of uranium in the United States is dramatically higher. The big producers of uranium are Russia, Canada, Pakistan, China, and Australia. A lot of the uranium that they get in our area here is Russian and Canadian from the Xcel standpoint, is what they're telling me. But
I always assumed
uranium in the United States is far more expensive.
We have a tariff on uranium?
There's discussion about tariffing.
I don't
yeah.
think they will.
So, well,
I'll talk to Donald about that.
When he gets back from Europe.
so that kind of leads into the side of the Yucca Mountain. They did another tabletop on transporting nuclear waste, and they're basically still working on the feds, because the feds at this point have put $10 billion into Yucca Mountain, and they stopped.
Hasn't taken anything, has it?
Hasn't taken, nope, and they stopped the licensing process in 2010. They're still, again, pushing to get the NRC to at least finishing the licensing process on Yucca Mountain, so that'll be a bigger discussion on the feds level here in the years to come. Basically, Monticello Nuclear Plant, Xcel, will be putting their certificate of need, entering it into the Public Utilities Commission in 2021, 2022. So that's the biggest first hurdle. Then if it gets approved by the Public Utilities Commission for the 10-year extension, they will then apply to the NRC in 2025, which is the NRC's permit is a 20-year extension. The Public Utility Commission is a certificate of need, and they only do it in 10-year increments. So the first hurdle will come in 2021, getting that Public Utilities Commission.
What you're saying is 2026 would be the earliest we'd hear anything, whether they got extension or not.
In 2026 would be the definitive, earliest that you'd have a definitive answer, yes.
Unless it gets turned down.
But the bigger hurdle is the Public Utility Commission, not so much the NRC. The NRC is just kind of more of a, unless something would majorly change at the federal level, but at this point it's kind of more proving that you have the barriers and the systems in place to.
And they're, like say, Xcel's fighting a battle. Only one nuclear plant in the nation has got an extension past its 60-year life. And so that they got to overcome some of those issues. So they got a heck of a mountain to climb there. I think the cards are stacked in their favor, because you want to get that clean energy and carbon free and all that happy, joy stuff. But they they have a good chance of getting, because their plant was one of the newer plants that was built in the United States, and it's in pretty darn good shape compared to some that they had talked in other states that were some of the first plants that were out there.
Yeah, this plant's been around a long time.
Well, 3 Mile
I mean, when was Monticello built?
1970 it opened.
1970 it opened?
One of the newer ones.
I mean, it's, realistically, I mean, the Public Utilities Commission, it's looking good because right now environmental groups have signed on this.
Yeah.
They're supporting it, so that is huge on that aspect of it. It doesn't need legislative approval. Basically, all it requires is that when it goes to the Public Utility Commission, the Public Utility Commission approves it, then you has to wait one legislative session to find out if a bill is introduced to change the Public Utilities Commission. So this is like, it's kind of one of those situations where no action by the legislator is a good thing, and so we have to hope when it comes to the Public Utility Commission for that certificate of need.
Last session.
Yeah, so that's I just wanted you to be aware of the process that's coming up on us with that, so.
So interesting reading for you. Read up on 3 Mile Island, and you'll know why this plant here is way different than that plant out there.
Or read up on the first plant over in Elk River. It's a
So-
newer plant.
I do want people to realize that development is happening in Monticello, is exploding. We have a 92-unit apartment building that's going to be breaking ground, a 47-unit apartment building that's already being constructed. We have a new plot for development with 48 homes, another plot, Featherstone, with about 77 plots in it, and another one that is 330 lots in it.
They're gonna need blacktop.
So,
Where's the 92,
Way
right?
to tie it back there, Charlie.
Where are the 92
the
apartments?
92s are the
to do
39,
that.
the kind of across from Von Hansen's. There's a senior apartment going.
Oh, by the Quick Trip.
By the Quick Trip, yep.
By the Quick
That's
Trip.
a senior apartment?
That's a senior apartment, yep.
Quick Trip, yeah.
Yep.
Now, how many, that one on the other side of the freeway, just off of 18, how many units was that?
Off
that
the
one
other
unit?
side of the free,
one of the
oh, that
Bufffields.
one's, I should even know, I think it's like 200.
I was gonna say, that's
That one's huge.
huge.
It's like 200 and
Those are
some.
all apartments,
Those are all
right?
apartments, yep.
Now, the new one, the 92 is all for seniors?
The 92 is all senior living, yes.
senior
The 48 one, I don't believe that one is, that one's just general open apartments, I believe, so. So, a lot of development,
Yeah,
Good.
yep.
a lot in Buffalo, too.
Michael? I
So
see.
I had the Central Minnesota EMS Region meeting on Friday, and we did the two-year budget summary, and our regional director did submit that proposal to the state for the EMS systems grant. So we will be hearing about that. And basically, just to support the fire department's first responders, law enforcement, ambulance services for pre-hospital. But also, one key thing that the region does is when there's critical incidents, they send out the team and they can work, with the people that have been involved in the critical incidents. That they've been just really a great team for that. And we're still looking for more stable funding. We can't rely on seatbelt dollars. We're running pretty much bare bones with everything we
I
do.
drove
But
halfway to Howard Lake the other day without mine on.
Sheriff, did you hear that?
Fundraiser.
That's evidence, right?
Yep, yeah, it's on, even on video, too.
I do it, and I keep thinking of Christine with her group there, so
I
I'm
know.
trying to get you
Well,
guys going.
the good news is that we are 94% compliant with seatbelt.
Did you know that if you don't wear your seatbelt properly, you can get a ticket too?
Really?
My daughter got pulled over.
can't
She's
put the
short and it
shoulder.
cuts in her neck up here, so she puts it under her arm and she got pulled over got a warning,
You cause more harm than.
maybe. She needs to get one of those things just to release the tension, I guess, so. That's what I told her.
But yeah. They do have the adjustments.
To relieve the tension.
They do have those adjustments.
Jamie's has
Like
nothing to do with seatbelts.
All right, hey,
And,
Commissioner Eastman, are you,
that's
is it Commissioner Burrow?
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yep.
And then if there's no other discussion, we will
Questionable.
end this meeting here at 9:29, or 10:29, sorry.
That last